Marco Polo has long been a leader in helping financial firms expand their global footprint through cutting-edge regulatory solutions, advanced technology platforms, and strategic digital marketplaces. And with me, the co-founders and co-chairs of Marco Polo, Steve Carlson, and also Vinode Ramgopal. Great to have you here.
Glad to see you.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
So how does MPX, which I guess is another term for Marco Polo, the low-touch, high-compliance platform, overcome these regulatory and relationship problems that financial firms have when they want to do business in the U.S.? Do you want to weigh in on that?
Sure. Imagine if you're sitting in Germany or Austria or Vietnam or Brazil, and you are an investment bank and you've developed some really great financing opportunities for your client base, and you want to find a place to get capital. You have your own home market that's certainly available to you. But if you want the big dollars, you need to come where the centers of the capital are, and that's here in the USA. Yeah. And so those companies have significant burdens to be able to bring those products into the country. Number one, there's a regulatory moat, so to speak, around the U.S., so you have to be a U.S. broker-dealer. And also you need to know who to call and talk to. You need to have relationships. Sure. And Marco Polo Exchange was invented to help companies solve that problem. And we have industrialized that framework using technology and a variety of different things, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, ways that allow us to provide that service for those companies.
Well, that was exactly my next question to Vinode, was AI, tokenization. How are you using that technology?
So let me take it back one bit.
Okay.
We all know Amazon, right? Now, Amazon, Etsy, we can buy furniture, carpets, anything around the world from small companies. We can practically buy books. Name it, we can buy it now. Whether you're located in Australia and you're a buyer here in the US, logistics, payments, everything done. You just cannot do this with financial products. So imagine what that means. What Steve just mentioned is really what we're doing is giving the manufacturers of financial products, the securities firms, the advisory firms, they package deals, they package funds, they package research, but they're all sitting outside the US or any market but their own. 95% to 99% of these firms are regulated licensed to sell only in their local markets. Now just pause and think about what that means in the world. The world's economy has grown massively outside any one country. We are the biggest in the world. And yet we are somewhere between 20 to 25% of the world's economy, depending on how which means 75 to 80% is sitting out there. Our investors are sitting here investing in what's visible to them here. And 95% of the manufacturers of financial products cannot come here because unlike furniture, unlike books, you cannot sell a financial product without a license. Yeah. And the cost of licensing is difficult, it's high, the entry costs, the maintenance costs are high, and the regulatory risk is high. So that's one of the, and if you think of Amazon as a great marketplace or Etsy, what are they using? They're all using AI now. They're all using tokenization. Well, they can't use tokenization as much as we can. And so the first step we have is to bring you in. Make it possible for everyone around the world. The US is saying, we have a border. Just as much as we need to patrol the physical borders of the country, the regulatory borders of this country are significant. And parties come into the country and market products, in some cases, without being licensed, because the demand is so strong, the appeal is so great. And you should think about us as putting up a framework to protect the regulatory borders, but not to stop the traffic. We're effectively we've lowered the entry cost into the US. We've made it phenomenally easy, but we've made it not just accessible, we've made it very monitorable so that the SEC and FINRA can all see that. And AI is central to that.
So let's talk about how you do that then, how you unlock those buy-side opportunities for these firms to be able to do business in the US.
So it depends on what a firm is selling, and it runs the full gamut. You could have a firm that wants to market their execution services. So you want to do government bonds in their local market. They can provide liquidity for you and trade execution. They may want to come and sell their research and share that. They may want to market and sell private placements, both private debt, private equity, and also including smaller transactional activity as well. So what they can do through us is come here, be permissioned into the ability to sell, and then we help them identify and find and do transactional activities with the U.S. buy side. And our focus is all on the institutional side of the business, so we're not focusing on retail, at least today. But basically, it's giving in the name of the product is Passport. It's giving them a passport to come and sell and market their offerings to the U.S. buy side. And the U.S. buy side loves it because they have an opportunity set that's X today. And they do see foreign deals from the big firms, the bulge bracket banks. They're intermediating a lot of this activity that we're doing, except they're only doing the top 10%. The bottom 90, forget it. They're not getting in here. And the buy side in the U.S. is not getting to see that unless they come through and do a service like the one we have. And we're the biggest and the best.
Now, there's talk about Europe and their debt needs, and they may be helping to finance the Ukraine situation with Russia. Is there anything MPX can do with that? And if so, what?
We've already seen a lot of conversations have already started to take place about this big need that Germany and other countries are going to have to build up for the military needs, as well as just grow and finance their deficits. So they're going to be issuing a lot of paper, and firms that are in that space that are not talking to the U.S. buy side, that's a huge capital pool that they're missing. They're all coming. They're all coming. Yeah.
And take Germany, take Austria. It is astounding how some of the largest firms in those markets are not licensed here. So that you are left with, Deutsche Bank is in the background. They've got.
They rang the bell today.
Yeah. So you've got the big global firms that got the license, but the big global firms are what, 20, 15? Right. You know how many investment banks and large domestic banks there are in Germany and Austria? There are hundreds. And they are manufacturing products. We don't see them. So if you're an investor sitting here in the US, of course, the very large offerings will go to the Deutsche Banks and they will go to the Goldmans and so forth, and they will then be distributed in. But what we're saying is that and this is an interesting point to put in, where is the world's growth coming from? It's coming from the small, medium-sized companies. Right? And 90% of the world's businesses are SMEs. And who banks them? Who helps them to raise their capital? It is the thousands of investment banks and advisory firms and small securities firms. They manufacture these products, and they are sitting behind walls, and you can't get to those products. This is such a commonsensical proposition we're putting out here. Yeah. You have to ask yourself, on a day in which one exchange has announced we're going to be trading 24/7 globally, securities listed, why is there not a marketplace in which products from all around the world can be seen by global investors wherever they are and matched by them? The consequence if this happens, if what we are doing succeeds, is that eyeballs to deals will go up. Eyeballs to deals go up. The ratio that closes increases. Price competition at the end of a deal negotiation increases. This could be dramatic. Yeah.
Well, and I assume the regulations, the cross-border fees and things like that are some of the reasons why some of these small to medium-sized businesses haven't done business in the U.S. So how do you walk them through that? How do you make that whole process easier?
Well, you're talking about the barriers to entry for foreigners coming into the U.S. The number one big one is the regulatory barrier. And inside of our exchange, we have a broker-dealer that has a license that permits us to, in effect, act as their regulator. We collect all the information. We do all the KYC, all the AML. We track all their conversations. And it's all done through a industrialized technology platform. So we're solving a big problem for those firms. They can come in and engage. They don't have to have their own broker-dealer, and they don't have to be worried that they're dealing with a mom-and-pop shop, for example, that is collecting emails and trying to stay on top of everything when we have it all fully automated. Mm-hmm. That's number one. The other one that's a big deal is who do you when you come, who do you talk to, and will they listen to you? And
how do you get a meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like we get you into the party, but you don't know anybody at the party. You're standing with your back against the wall.
I've been to some parties like that, actually. Yeah.
I'm not admitting anything. So we help with that too. Yeah. And when you asked about technology, we do it the old school way in terms of doing transactional activities. They do the business, but we also are enabling people to do tokenized offerings. We have the capability inside our technology to mint and burn coins. So we could bring a fiat type instrument and turn it into a digitized instrument, which is cutting edge. And then we also have capabilities that some of this is more primitive and some of it is more cutting edge is to help them find out who's really going to care about what they're selling and create the information flow and the connectivity through matching that allows those things to happen. And that's the big cutting edge piece.
And then finally, like how does MPX how do you see the vision here of kind of transforming, reshaping the global financial marketplace? You both want to weigh in on that?
Yeah. Vinode, I always tease Vinode. I call him the dream weaver. You know the song Dream?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got to do that, Vinode.
Okay. We just talked about what happened to this. Markets are no longer concentrated in the US, Western Europe, and Japan. It's everywhere. It is growing on a scale we ought to be either excited about or be afraid about, because the sheer amount of investable capital in the world has probably gone up 4x since 2000. The amount of money looking for deals is tremendous, and the amount of companies not finding money is tremendous. So how can we match that? Well, imagine what we're doing now done globally. Every local manufacturer of financial product can come to the Polo exchange, put out their offering compliantly, visibly seen globally by every investor. And we are institutional today. We will go down to accredited investors, and then we'll go down to retail. We are very cautious as how you proceed down to retail for the obvious reasons. But let's start with the top. I imagine a world where wherever you're situated, you can now put out your deal and it's being seen, small or large. Lay out your terms, your information memorandums, your teasers, all the things. Via our systems, you can load it up, match with global investors, with portfolio features. That alters. That is the world's first true private exchange. And today we're in 50 countries. We will bring on broker-dealers and securities funds. There are 25 to 30,000 of them that we think are ready to join a system and a platform like this. Think back of what the old exchanges were. The exchanges used to provide broker-dealers a meeting place to put out their product. Then we demutualized back in the 2010s, etc., and we became trading platforms. And the primary capital raising function shifted to the private markets. And the private markets do not have a meeting place which they can showcase the global. This is a global exchange in the making, and that transforms global markets.
Fascinating, and just so interesting to hear about parts of the world that are still developing that now can have access to capital that they never had before. So thank you so much, Steve and Vinode, for explaining this. I'm sure I'll see you again soon.
Great pleasure.
It's a pleasure. And I will tell you that this is our 25th anniversary for Marco Polo Securities.
Yeah.
Yes. And briefly, Marco Polo Securities and Marco Polo Exchange is the child of a company that used to exist called Marco Polo Network, which was founded by my partner, which connected the world's stock exchanges, I think 80 countries throughout the world, electronically. And it was a huge powerhouse. It became less relevant after the 2008 financial crisis because most of the big clients went out of business.
Okay.
So we have a long legacy.
We were both young and good looking in those days.
Yeah.
So it's been an aging experience.
Good looking, I don't know about that so much. But anyway, such a pleasure to be with you.
But it's evolved.
Thank you.
Evolved from there. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jay.
Thanks.
What pleasure. Thank you.